ready to get started on some programming? Bam! I thought you were! Alright, so today we're going to talk about primitive types. And what primitive types are the basic variable types that are built into Java. And this can range anything from integers, like whole numbers, decimal numbers. They can be characters, like, A, B, C, whatever. But look, I know it sounds a little bit boring, but you gotta start small, my friend. But believe me, in no time, you're gonna be a powerhouse. Seriously. So let's get over to the computer and let's get started. So we're over here in Eclipse, all cool like, and so we're gonna go up and start up a new project. Pretty sure you know how to do this because, well, I assume you're a very smart person. So we'll just name this project, I don't know, variables. Why not? So hit finish, whatever. Inside this variables thing, we're going to go and right click on source. And we're going to hit new and then class. Now, technically, we're not supposed to go and put it inside the default package source here, but I won't tell if you won't tell. Alright, so then we name this, let's name it variables, since, good naming conventions say that we should capitalize our classes. So capital V variables. And this will be the thing that has our main function in it, so cool. Finish. And look at that. It goes and it creates all that super nice for us. We'll get more into what this means, like public, static, void, later on in other videos, but for now, just trust me. So before you start using these variables, like we're just about to, careful, we need to go and declare them first. And what declaring does is that it pretty much tells you what you can store in them. And there are different types, but we'll get into that. Keep watching. Let's start off with integers, or as Java likes to call them, ints. So we're going to type int, and then we'll just call this variable num. So we're saying that this is a variable called num, and it is of type int. And what this does, well, we can then go and take num. Since we already declared it, we don't have to type int again, mind you. So we can hit num, and then equals any number we want. Let's say it equals 3. Hooray, you have just now assigned num, the value 3. Okay, so what about next then? Well, that's kind of a hassle, you think, right? Like we have int num equals 3. That's boring. So what can we do instead? We can say, with another variable, for instance, we can declare it int, let's say num2, and we can automatically go and put a value to it. So let's say int num2 equals 4. So this is the exact same thing here as what we did here, except we saved some lines. Look at how efficient you are. All right, so on top of that, what if, though, we wanted to go and declare it by adding some values together? Well, we can do just that, my smart fine friend. We can go and say int, let's call it number 3. And when we initialize it like this, we'll just say that it's, we'll say it's going to be equal to num1 plus 2. And so, oh, that's giving us an error. That doesn't like, oh, silly me. It's because we don't have a num1. We just have num. Duh. All right, so what does this mean? It means it's going to take the value that's in num, there, 3, of course, and it's going to take 2 and add the 2 together, and it's going to store that value inside 3. So this isn't like, math in the sense like where you say, whoa, the left-hand side is equal to the right-hand side, and the right-hand side is also equal to. So the only variable that gets changed is num3. Num remains completely untouched, so num is still going to stay as 3. But, okay. What next? Well, let's go and output this stuff to the screen. I'm going to use good old system.out.println, as I'm sure you know from Hello World programs worldwide. And so we'll put out some string of characters. Let's say not num1. Num is equal to, and then we can go and outside of these quotation marks, we can add a plus, which is saying we're going to take, the next thing and just mash it on the end of that string there. And we'll just say is equal to, well, num. There you go. And, okay, let's just copy this, and we'll do it for the same ones. Oh my goodness, so messy. We'll do it for num2 and num3, and we gotta go and change that up. Num2, num3. All right, so save it. Control S is what I did. That's completely irrelevant. I don't know why I told you. Anyway, yeah, after we save it and then we run the program up there, we see that num2 is indeed equal to 3. Oh my goodness, num2 is equal to 4. And you see, again, we took this stuff that was in here, this string that we wrote out, and then by putting this stuff outside of the quotations, it basically takes the value that's stored inside of num2 there, and it'll output that into, well, the system.out.println thingamabob. And then you see num3 is equal to 5, because you see we initialize num3 as being equal to num, which is equivalent to 3 plus 2. Cool. Now, just because you've put your variable down inside of memory here, and you've nurtured it and you raised it like it's your own and everything, doesn't mean that you have to keep the same value that you initially stored in there. You can go and change that around whatever way you feel like. It's your damn variable. You do whatever you want with it. So we're going to show you right now. Keep on watching. Let's modify num2 again, because we don't like that guy. What a loser. We'll say num2 is going to be equal to, let's say 3 times 5. Divide by 5. Let's see, that's going to be 15. Let's not do that. Let's do 3 times 6 divided by 2. So what happens is, you can do any type of arithmetic operation on these. You know, you can do addition. Oh gosh, let's comment this just in case. You can do addition. You can do, so messy. Okay. You can do subtraction. So you use plus for addition, minus for subtraction. Oh my gosh, so surprising, right? Use this asterisk or star for multiplication. And you can also use slash for division. And there's also another one that I want to tell you about, though. And this one is called mod, or modulus. And some of you brainiacs out there might already know what, well, modulus is. But for those of you who don't, let's check it out and see. We'll say num3 is going to be equal to, let's say, 8 mod 3. So what does that mean? Yeah, by the way, we'll just put this over here. Just keep nice and neat for you. This % is mod. In other words, the remainder. Shh, secret, don't tell anybody. So what this means is that we're going to take 8, we're going to divide it by 3, and then whatever the remainder is, we're going to stick that value into num3. So 8 divided by 3 is going to be a remainder of 2. So I think that should be it. Let's go and take these again, and we'll just copy these because we're so lazy. We'll just take these, copy them. Num2 is now equal to, num3 is also now equal to num2, num3. So you can see that these values are, actually, why don't I just show you? How about that? We'll save it, run it. Okay, so let's expand this a bit. Okay, we have all this original stuff because it runs through line by line. And so num2 used to be equal to 4, but then it got changed around. So we multiplied 3 by 6, and then we divide by 2. And since that's the case, well, we got 18 divided by 2 is equal to 9. Oh my gosh, look at that. And then also with this, like we said, 8 divided by 3, the remainder is 2. That's what you get. And you can also do all kinds of stuff, like order of operations, whatever. You know, like you can use parentheses inside of these. You can say, you know, 8 mod, oh my gosh, 8 mod 3 plus 3. And so if we run this again, you'll see that, well, it's now going to be equal to 5, because it took this, which was originally 2, added 3 to it. There you go. Simple algebra, kids. Simple algebra. Aha! Did you see what I did there? Well, I was testing you. Not because I, fucked up while making the recording. Definitely not. But, no, okay, so you saw I fucked up a little bit in the on-screen recording. So it said, what was it, 8 mod, whatever, and that was in parentheses. That's not right. Fuck that. No. What I meant to say is really, if you have, say, 8 mod 3 plus 2 or something in parentheses, then it'll go and take 3 plus 2 and then, do mod 8 of that. So, yeah, get back to it, little fella. All right, so you got all this now, but what if you, say, want a fraction or a decimal? Well, you may have noticed I was kind of insidiously crafting every last one of these to where they would be, well, whole numbers. So what if, for instance, we have, let's say int num4 is equal to 3.5. What happens? Oh, fuck! What can we do? Oh, can't convert from double to int. It gives us an error. Life is terrible. Actually, it's not, because in addition to type int, there's also type double, which we can use. And what double does is that it, well, handles fractions very easily. Say num4 is now going to be equal to 3.5 times 4 divided by 2. Yep. Yeah, it's cool. I saw it was red underneath there. It was kind of giving me the heebie-jeebies, but we're all right. Yeah, so if we output this to the screen, blah, 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 you know this drill. Num4, yeah, that's right, is now equal to num4. Is also now equal to, okay, let's just say it's equal to. Calm down there. All right, play it. Is now equal to 7. Yep, 3.5 times 4 divided by 2, yeah, it's 7. Cool. So, we have ints for whole numbers. Ints. That sounded really weird. It made me think of like the tree people from Lord of the Rings. Nerd alert. Okay, so we have ints for whole numbers. We have doubles here for fractions. There are a couple of other ones that I'll just go over really quick. There's char, or short for character. We can say, we'll just call it letter to make it easier. Not ketter. We'll call it letter. And what this does is that it holds, well, a character, like a letter, for instance, or a number. Oh my gosh. So we can say letter, well, it can be a letter like A or B or C, or it can be 1 or 2 or 3, whatever you want. But it has to be just one. I'm sorry, these are not in double quotes. They are in single quotes. So you notice here there are these double quotes. Double quotes are for strings of characters like this, like several characters mushed together. If you have just a single character, like here, it's going to be that. Personally, I don't really use these a whole lot, mostly because, well, that's just my style, and it's probably wasteful. But you could probably find use for these. But anyway, char is for holding single letters of some type. There are also a bunch of other ones like short. We'll just call this shortness. There's also long. There's float. There's a bunch of stuff like that. But in reality, I mean, you're only really going to use these if you get super, super technical. Personally, I don't really use them a whole lot. I usually just use int and double. But if you want to know more, the short that I mentioned, it's pretty much the same thing as type integer. So is long, for that matter. The only difference is the range of numbers they can hold. So short, you can see it's called short because it uses less space, like less memory spaces to hold the stuff. And so it can hold numbers up to about 32,000 or so. Negative 32,000, positive 32,000, whatever. Long, on the other hand, you can see is, well, it's longer. It uses more numbers, and that can hold somewhere between positive or negative 9 quintillion, whatever, which is huge. And type int is somewhere in between. It's not as short as short. It's not as long as long. It's just short as short, long as long. No, it's somewhere in between, and that can hold somewhere around between positive and negative 2 billion or so. And as far as float's concerned, what that does is it also holds fractions and decimal points like double does. The only thing is it uses less memory space to hold it. And what that means is that it still does the same job, but it's just not as accurate. You can't go as many decimal places out, or you can't have as high of a number or whatever. But, frankly, like I said, you might not need this if you don't want to get super technical, whatever. And one final thing. there's one thing that is not in the video. So it's type Boolean, and you can see here spelled Boolean. You like this fancy text I got going on the screen here. So type Boolean, what it does, it either holds a value of true or false. That's it. And so you actually declare it like Boolean variable equals true, or Boolean variable equals false. And that's it. And this is pretty useful, and that'll be used further on when we get into loops and conditional statements, etc. So stay tuned, young ones.